Have you ever had a guitar that got away? You know what I mean, the one that got away. Well, my years of playing, decades of playing, I've had several that got away. I had a 1968 Gibson double neck that I got at a pawn shop, but I sold it 30 years too early to make bank on it. Ugh. I had a Martin Custom 15, which is a kind of vintage D28 that I loved. It was from the 1990s, early 90s. I played it for many, many years, but I eventually sold it to help fund the purchase of a Loudon acoustic. I still have the Loudon, but I really regret selling that wonderful D28. And then there was the original Roland GR 300 guitar synthesizer plus accompanying guitar. I had that for many years, played it in a lot of performances, played it on some records, and really enjoyed it. But for some crazy reason, I sold it, and now I totally regret it. And finally, I had an early 70s Ovation Legend. It was a really great acoustic guitar for playing in a band, but it got stolen. I still feel the pain of that loss, even unto this day. But the loss that really hurt my heart the most was my beloved Ibanez PF-200. I bought that in early 1979, probably along with a Fender Deluxe Reverb. They were both used, and I bought them together for $300. I used that combination of guitar and amp for many years, through the most productive artistic years of the prog rock band that I played in. It was my constant companion until about 25 years ago. My son had a friend who was just getting into guitar. He was getting ready to join his first band, and he needed an electric guitar. And for some crazy reason, I let him have the Ibanez PF-200. I think it was because I had just purchased a Carvin Alan Holdsworth signature model, which I still have and love. And I was just playing that guitar all the time and not the Ibanez. So I thought, he can have it. Joel can have it. No problem. So he took the guitar and used it for many years, playing in bands himself. And eventually he joined the service and was deployed. And so was gone from the U.S. for a year and a half. I forget how long it was. And then when he moved back to the U.S., he did not move back into this area, moved into another area. So I never saw the guitar after that. But, just like the other ones, almost immediately after he took the guitar, I regretted it because I started remembering all the things that I'd used that guitar for. Well, fast forward about 25 years, 23 years maybe, I get a call from my son, my daughter-in-law and my son. They got in touch with the old friend who had my Ibanez and got it back from him. We went to visit them, and I said, "Hey, can I see the guitar?" And they opened it up, and I was like, "Oh, my baby." And I said, "How are things going with this guitar?" And my daughter-in-law said, "Well, it's not working so well. The volume and tone knobs don't really work, and the pickup selector switch, when you move the pickup selector, you don't get any signal." Haha, sneaky me. I said, "Hey, how about if I take it back home and I'll get it all fixed up for you?" And she said, "Great." So I took the guitar back home, and here it is. This is my old Ibanez PF-200 that I cut my teeth on for so many years in my prog rock band. And I did work on the guitar. I have replaced all the pots, the tone and volume pots, and they work great. The pickup selector switch is still pretty funky, but it works. And I do have a new selector switch, and I'm going to replace it here soon. So let me tell you about this guitar. It is the 200 model of the old PF series. These were made in the late 70s, right after the Ibanez Gibson lawsuit thing. And so it's got a different headstock, and you can see that the shape of the body is a little bit different from a Les Paul, but It's basically a Les Paul. Now the 200 series has a bolt-on neck. It's not the set neck like the more expensive 300, PF-300. And yes, I have the control covers for the guitar. I just haven't put them back on. And you know, for a guitar that's pushing 50 years old in a couple years, it looks shockingly good. There are a number of bumps and scratches. Most of them I actually put on the guitar as I used it. There's a nice little thing going on the very top of the headstock here, and there's some little cracks in the finish where I ill-advisedly kind of put it down a little bit too hard. But there are some new wounds that I did not put on it, like belt buckle rash. Nah. None of my guitars have belt buckle rash. That's not a thing with me, guys and gals. Seriously, it's not a thing. But it's really in great shape. The pickup situation is as follows. The bridge pickup is an original DiMarzio Super Distortion pickup, and it sounds great. The neck pickup is the original Ibanez pickup, and I've always loved the sound of that. You'll also see a hexaphonic pickup by the bridge, and that is from my original ARP Avatar guitar synthesizer. I don't have the Avatar anymore, but for some reason, no one took off the pickup. So cool. It's never coming off as long as I have it. So what does this beast sound like? Well, in order to show you, I've set my pedal board up with a signal chain that's very similar to what I used to use back in my old band days. You'll see a compressor going into a Ross Distortion. This is the reissue that was done by JHS pedals, and it sounds so much like my old Ross Distortion pedal. It's super cool. From there, I'm going into an Electro Harmonix LPB3 linear power booster. The reason why I'm using that is for the EQ section, because I used to use a graphic equalizer after my distortion to gently scoop the mids and add a little bass, because the Ross Distortion just sounded a little weak, if you will, to me. After the LPB3, you'll see my volume pedal. I had a different volume pedal back in the day. It was actually a Univox wah-wah that I had converted into a volume pedal. That was before I got into Morley's, but I used that for many years. After that, you'll see the Strymon Iridium, and that's set up to the Fender Deluxe Reverb model to mimic or imitate my old Fender Deluxe Reverb. After that, I've got a stereo chorus reverb by TC Electronic. I used to use a Boss stereo chorus and a Boss Flanger. This one fills the bill quite nicely. And finally, in a nod to the modern day, I'm running into the Strymon Dig in stereo. Here's what I've got going on with the bridge pickup with a clean tone, relatively clean tone. And in the old days, I would always turn on the chorus when I had a clean tone. And of course, the volume swells. It always sounded great through this guitar. Now let's talk about the distorted tone that I used to get back in the day. It's actually not that different from what I do today. However, specific to this guitar, and the Fender Deluxe Reverb amp, what I used to do is turn on the Ross Distortion, again, followed by a graphic EQ to tweak the tonal balance of the tone. And in this case, I'm using that linear power booster. The other thing I did most of the time, not exclusively, but most of the time, was to put the pickup selector in the middle position and turn the tone knob down on the neck pickup while leaving the tone knob up on the bridge pickup. That really provided a really kind of juicy, thick tone. Here's what it sounds like. And occasionally I would turn the chorus on with a lead tone too. So I'm reasonably sure that my daughter-in-law is going to ask for this guitar back someday. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to cut her a deal. You know, I've got a lot of guitars now. I could probably trade her a guitar. But here's the problem. I'm going to almost immediately regret trading her that guitar. I just can't win for losing.